Crimson Rivers, Conviction, Part 2. Sirius heaves a sigh as he slips into the suite, the tension easing out of him as soon as he sees Remus and Pandora sitting in the main room, heads bent together. He glances around, but James and Regulus are nowhere to be found. They're in their rooms. Just needed some time, Pandora explains. How did it go? Everything is handled, Sirius murmurs. We leave early tomorrow morning. I have to talk to them, but... Go, Pandora cuts in firmly. You know how this goes. I'll see you off in the morning. No points in saying goodbye tonight. I'll wait for you in the room, if that's all right, Remus says quietly, standing up and not quite meeting Sirius's eyes. His tone is heavy, and so is Sirius's heart. Sirius can only bring himself to nod, following Remus down the hall and watching him slip into his room as he continues on, stopping by James's first. He knocks gently and pokes his head in, finding James sitting on the floor against the wall beside his bed, his cane propped up next to him. Cautiously, Sirius moves over and carefully sits down across from James, right there on the floor, leaning back against the bed. Even with being in his direct line of sight, James still doesn't seem to notice Sirius at all. His gaze is unfocused, and he's staring down at his limp hands in his lap. James, Sirius says, getting no response. Swallowing, Sirius takes a deep breath and tries again. James. That time, James gives a violent blink, lifting his head just as a tear falls from his eye and slips down his cheek, almost like an afterthought. He absently dashes it away like he doesn't even realize it's there, giving Sirius a small, bemused smile. Oh, Sirius, I didn't hear you come in. That's all right, Sirius murmurs, his heart clenching. He hesitates, not entirely sure if he should ask why James is crying or not. That's the thing, isn't it? There are countless things James has to cry about. Sirius knows what it's like not to want to talk about them. Before he gets a chance to figure it out either way, James speaks. Was it enough? The interview, I mean. I'm quite sure that it was, yes. You and Regulus did good, James. You did everything right. Did we? James whispers, his face twitching, and then he waves his hand like he can swat the implications of that question away. Never mind, so it should be okay? It should be, Sirius confirms, because he's quite sure that it will be. Everyone adores James and Regulus, their love story, their happy ending. It's all anyone can talk about. Just that they loved each other so much that they refused to live without the other. And if they're talking about that, then they're not talking about how James briefly had the entire Hallow by the throat without even knowing it, without even trying. We go home tomorrow, don't we? James asks hopefully. Like he's eager, and Sirius can't blame him for that. He no doubt wants to see his parents again. Yeah, we go home tomorrow, Sirius says softly. That's it? It's done? Sirius hesitates, feeling cramped on the inside, like he's just going to overflow. The guilt crawls under his skin, and he wants to rip it right out. James? It's not done, James corrects glumly. He looks at Sirius for a long moment, then releases a hoarse laugh. Oh, right. The fucking victory tour 6 months after. Tell me about that. Right, Sirius swallows. Well, you know how it works, because we've had victors in our district every year, so you and Regulus will have to... You'll stand on a stage and give a little speech about the fallen tributes from each district. A little speech, James repeats flatly. Don't worry, Sirius says softly. Pandora and I will write something out for you both. It's important that you and Regulus are a united front throughout this, and it helps if you two would be affectionate on camera as well. Sirius? No, okay, I know, James. I know it's fucked, and I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. You have no idea how sorry I am. James sighs. I'm not blaming you, Sirius. I just don't think that Regulus will do that. He and I, well, we broke up. That's what he said, in any case. You were together? Sirius asks, startled as well as a little offended that he wasn't at least notified. When the fuck did this happen? No, not at all. This was news to me, too. Don't feel bad. James shakes his head and throws up both hands, a mixture of fond and wry and exhausted. To tell you the truth, Sirius, I haven't a fucking clue what's going on in your brother's head half the time. But, apparently we broke up, so that's just, well, it's shit, isn't it? Sirius opens his mouth. You have to agree and be here for me because I'm your best friend, and I've been dumped without even being in a relationship, which is so sad and pathetic that I don't even know where to begin. So you are contractually obligated to feel sorry for me, James interrupts before he can ever speak. Sirius closes his mouth. He pauses, adjusts, then gives a firm nod and says, "Yes, it's shit, and I'm very sorry. James, honestly, I am sorry." "It's fine," James mumbles, sighing again. He gives a pained sort of smile and looks away. "But my point is, I don't really think that Regulus is going to—" "I'll talk to him," Sirius assures him. "When the time comes, I'll handle it. You don't have to worry about any of that now, James. The most important thing is that as soon as tomorrow afternoon, you'll see your parents again." James relaxes a little. Yeah, thank you." "What are you thanking me for, honestly?" Sirius asks, utterly exasperated. "Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't see my parents again at all," James tells him bluntly, and even as horrible as that sentence is, he manages a sincere smile. "You saved my life, Sirius. You saved Regulus's life. You saved us both." "I think we all had a hand in saving each other," Sirius says softly, and James nods. They stare at one another for a long, long time, not saying a word. So much sitting between them that it's hard to see past it. But they're here. For a moment, they both bask in the absolute gratitude they feel to just get to exist with each other again. "You should go see Regulus," James says eventually. Sirius nods, shifting to lean forward, and then he pauses and holds up his finger. "Ah, wait, I have something for you." He reaches into his coat in the pocket lining the silk, drawing out James's glasses with a small smile. "I spoke with Dorcas after the interview, just checking in with her and saying goodbye, and she made sure to get these back to you." James stares at them, then swallows thickly, and reaches out to grab them with shaking fingers. He slowly looks up at Sirius and whispers, "Will you help me take my contacts out?" "Absolutely," Sirius replies instantly, then shuffles over to do just that. It's a bit of a process that somehow leads them both to laugh quietly when Sirius makes faces at James from up close, or when James accidentally pokes himself in the eye, or when Sirius speaks to James's eyelashes like they're sentient. Between the two of them, they do eventually manage to get the contacts out. More advanced Hallow shit, the kind that James never had to change and could sleep with, and then James is slipping his glasses on his face while blinking rapidly. Sirius stares at him. "Do I look stupid?" James blurts out, sounding absurdly anxious, more insecure and nervous than Sirius has ever heard him. Sirius remembers when he got home and was so afraid his leather jacket wouldn't fit the same way before he went into the arena. He remembers crying profusely when it did. "No, James," Sirius whispers. "You look like you." James exhales slowly and reaches up to push his glasses up his nose, chewing on his lip. "They don't feel as strange as I was expecting them to." "You've been wearing them your whole life." Sirius reaches out and taps the corner of the circular frames fondly. "No matter how it may seem, the arena and the Hallow and all of this isn't going to erase everything. It can't. Even with me, it never could. As much as it can take from us, there are some things that we'll always have." "What's yours?" James asks curiously. "What's the one thing it never managed to take?" Sirius smiles at him, gently. "You." "I'd never leave you, not really. Even if I was—" James stops, then reaches out and presses his balled-up fist into Sirius's chest, right in the middle, right between his lungs. He doesn't press hard, but Sirius feels the pressure anyway, and he welcomes it. It settles him. "I'm always with you, Sirius, no matter what." "Fine, yes, I'll marry you and have your babies," Sirius says with a put-upon sigh, breaking out into a grin when James is startled into laughter, dropping his hand as his eyes light up. It's the first time James laughs, really laughs, since returning from the arena, and Sirius just soaks it up, letting it warm him all the way through. It's not that he forgot how nice it is to see joy on James's face. It's just that he hasn't seen it in so long. He missed it, he really has. "Oh, it's my dream come true," James teases, playful, his eyes sparkling. "I mean, both Black brothers? Why did you have to make it weird?" Sirius groans, scrunching up his face, though it doesn't last long when James laughs again, loud and hard and happy, like maybe he's just as eager to do it as Sirius is to hear it, and that's why he's making jokes, doing a bit, trying, and always trying. James laughs so long and so fully that he just slumps over on his side and curls up on the floor, apparently needing to take a minute to catch his breath. "Oh, fuck, I needed that." "You and me both," Sirius murmurs, lips curled up. He didn't really laugh that much, too caught up in his relief of seeing James laugh, but the statement still stands. "Come on, get off the floor, you freak. At least lay on your bed, for fuck's sake." "Feels too soft," James mumbles, "and I don't want to sleep alone. I'll come back after talking to Remus, Sirius offers immediately. James bolts upright, jaw clenched. You will do no such thing. You can come after Remus is gone for the night, but not a second before. I'll be fine waiting. James. No, Sirius. I will be fine. And you deserve to spend time with him, okay? He deserves it. Just, I don't know, have sex with him or something. Sirius rears back, eyes bulging as he sputters in disbelief. Sorry, what? Oh, James bites his lip. Are you two not there yet? Sirius blinks at him. I mean, okay, well, we almost, It's mortifying, but Sirius can feel his face getting hot, his ears burning. He feels stupid, like a modest little prude who starts squirming the moment anything hinting at sex comes up, which is ridiculous because he's never like this in front of... Well, he's only like this in front of the people who know him, really know him, and what he presents to everyone else, that's not real. It's a facade. A performance. This, in all his blushing, flustered glory, is Sirius Black at his most honest. You almost had sex? James asks bluntly. Unlike Sirius, he has no such issues. He is a total whore. Sirius loves that about him. Sort of a form of it? We stopped before it went anywhere, and we didn't even get out of our pants, Sirius admits, covering his face with his hands. Ah, frottage, James says fondly, releasing a wistful sigh, and when Sirius peeks at him, he's got this look in his eyes, like he's remembering something in vivid detail. You better not be thinking about my brother right now. I'm absolutely thinking about your brother right now. James, Sirius groans. Chuckling, James grins at him. What? I should have never kept it from you, really. I should have told you that same morning that it happened. I was so guilty that I didn't. Look, just keep the details to a minimum, please, Sirius says, strained. Broad statements are more than enough. In fact, the less you say, the better I feel. You really don't have to tell me all about it. He's my little brother, for fuck's sake. Well, not much happened anyway. He didn't get off, James says sadly. He pauses, his eyes glazing over a bit. He got me off, though, which was... Okay, enough, Sirius cuts in, waving his hands frantically back and forth through the air. James blinks at him, then huffs out a soft laugh. I really didn't need to know that. What I do need to know is unrelated to my brother at all. Sure, fire away. Sex. James raises his eyebrows. Yes? How? Sirius asks weakly. Remus, you lucky bastard, James chokes out, laughing, and his gaze is bright with humor as Sirius's entire face explodes with heat. Delighted, James folds his uninjured leg up and leans forward, bracing his elbow on it as he props his chin in his hand. All right, settle in. It's time we have the talk. I am 26 years old, James. I'm not oblivious to the process. I'm an adult. Then what are you asking? Tips? Sirius mumbles, making a face. Sirius, honestly, I think it'll be fine because you two like each other and want to be together. That's more important than technique anyway, and that's what will make it good. How you feel for each other, the emotion, above all else. Right, yes, but I'd like to be good at it. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll be brilliant, James assures him encouragingly, then snorts when Sirius glares at him. I can't really tell you what to do. It's different for everyone. We all like what we like, and that's not always the same. And it's special to learn that for yourself, to learn each other. Only do it because you want to. That's the first step. Everything else, just do what feels right, and don't be scared to communicate. That's not helpful, Sirius complains. It is. You just don't know it yet. You'll see. James winks at him, but his smile is soft. Go on, go get your spine realigned. Sirius's hand flies to his throat instinctively, like a woman clutching at her pearls, staring at James, utterly aghast as he wheezes, Get my fucking what? Or, realign his spine. James muses, thoughtful, his eyes gleaming with laughter. Whatever suits your fancy, and his, I suppose. You're filthy, Sirius hisses as James laughs again, covering his mouth with his hand. You're a dirty, dirty man, Potter, and I do not want you anywhere near my baby brother. Oh, the first chance I get, I'm going to let him snap my spine directly in half, James declares, lifting both hands and tipping his fists apart, while making an obscene crunching noise in the back of his throat. The look of pure horror on Sirius's face makes James burst out laughing all over again. Sirius makes a big show of being disgusted for a bit longer, just to keep James laughing, but the moment eventually passes, and James seems lighter, just a bit, at least for now. It's probably a lot of different things, getting to laugh, knowing he'll see Effie and Monty tomorrow, even just the knowledge that Sirius is probably having sex for the first time because he wants to, because he's at a place that he's comfortable, because he trusts Remus enough to do it. Speaking of my brother, Sirius says, once James has calmed down, I'm going to check on him now, but I'll be back later. If you can walk, James teases. Slag, Sirius grumbles as he stands up. Prude, James shoots back. He pauses, then tilts his head a little bit. Hey, you saw Dorcas, yeah? Yeah. She told me to ask you. She, kissed my hand. She said you'd know what it meant. Oh, yes, that's a thing. It's common in the Hallow to kiss someone's hand if you hold them in high regard. It's a sign of admiration, Sirius explains. Oh, James says, blinking. That's strangely lovely. It can be, Sirius agrees, lips curling up. Right, James murmurs. Thanks. Now go on. The sooner you leave, the sooner you'll get off. I expect all the details. Sirius shakes his head fondly and stifles laughter as James calls after him suggestively all the way out the door. For a moment, he just has to pause out in the hallway and breathe, letting himself feel good about the fact that he walked in on James crying, and he's now walking out on James laughing. Sirius has never really thought about it, but maybe he makes things better for James the same way James does for him. It's a comforting thought. Next stop is Regulus's room, and he knocks before poking his head in, wholly unsurprised by the fact that Regulus is out on the balcony. Sirius knocks on that door as well, before easing out, and Regulus slowly relaxes when he sees him, which is something that causes a tender flare in Sirius's chest every time. It's good to know that he's safe for Regulus. It's been years since that was the case. Sirius has missed it. Did we fuck it up? Regulus asks wearily. The interview? No, you and James did perfectly, Sirius assures him. I wanted to apologize again for... Don't, Regulus cuts in, shaking his head. It's not your fault, Sirius. I don't blame you. I know James doesn't. Everything in me wishes I could have stopped it, Sirius confesses. All of it, Regulus. I know, Regulus says softly, looking away. Sirius clears his throat. James tells me you two broke up? We were never together, never got to be, but yeah, Regulus replies with a heavy sigh. He glances over at Sirius and shrugs a little helplessly. I know he's your best friend, so you must have a lecture for hurting him lined up, but No, Sirius interrupts firmly. No, I don't. There's no lecture. No threats or warnings or anything. Not for either of you. Whatever happens between the two of you, that's... He swallows and gives a bitter smile. That's yours and his, no matter what. I have no control, do you hear me? I can, and will, be here for both of you about it. About anything. But I'll never get involved otherwise. Not again. Regulus blinks at him. Oh. Yeah, Sirius mumbles, ashamed, still so fucking upset about how he had to manipulate their relationship for their survival. So, this is you trying to be here for me about it? Regulus asks, dryly, arching an eyebrow. Sirius smiles sheepishly. If you need me to be. It's not... Regulus halts, then looks down and chokes out a laugh that has no humor in it. Well, I'm used to it, really. Reggie, Sirius says quietly, utterly stricken. Everything and nothing has changed. I want him, and I hate him. He wants to try, and I'm not willing to. Always so close, so fucking close, but never... Regulus whispers, squeezing his eyes shut and then lifting his hands to cover his face as his shoulders heave. The muffled sob breaks Sirius's heart. Hey, can I... Sirius launches forward to kneel down by Regulus's chair, hands hovering over him, and it's taking quite literally all the strength within him not to just snatch Regulus into his arms and hold him. Is it okay if I... Regulus doesn't let him finish, just sort of spilling to the side and bumping directly into Sirius's chest, ducked down and curled over in on himself, like he's trying to hold himself up until he's just gone. He's so small. He's 5, he's 15, he's 25, and Sirius's little brother, always his little brother. Sirius wraps his arms around Regulus and holds him. Remus looks up when the door opens. his heart jumping and sinking all at once as soon as he sees Sirius, somehow trying to shrivel up and expand at the same time. Sirius is here, and tomorrow he'll be gone. "Hi," Sirius whispers as he shuts the door. "Hi," Remus whispers back. Sirius swallows, the column of his throat rising and falling as he takes a tentative step forward. "Maybe this is unfair of me to ask, but can we not say goodbye tonight? Can we have just one night where nothing is wrong? Can we, Remus, can we save all of that for tomorrow and just have this, us, now?" Remus exhales slowly, because he's relieved, so inordinately relieved to put it off for just a bit longer. He's not ready yet. He doesn't want to lose this yet. "Yes, of course we can," Remus murmurs. I want you to know that Sirius takes a deep breath and gives him a small, sad smile. "I've been through the unimaginable these last 2 weeks, and the only thing, Remus, that made any of it the least bit bearable was you. I would not have known a hint of relief or a slice of joy if I did not have the pleasure of knowing you." "Well, that certainly sounds like a goodbye," Remus scolds, his voice thick with a lump in his throat. "I just want you to know that perhaps I was the one to insist you take off the mask, and perhaps I was the one to grant you the space to live with the basic human rights anyone and everyone should always have," Sirius croaks. "But in truth, Remus, it was you who freed me." "Stop," Remus rasps, because he can't do it. He feels dangerously close to tears, his eyes prickling with heat, and he doesn't want to cry. He doesn't want to waste 1 second with Sirius in mourning when he hasn't even lost him yet. He can cry later, alone, when there's a reason to. But right now, Sirius is here. He's still here, and Remus loves him dearly, dreadfully, with a defiance that makes his heart sing. It is only fitting that he would love so deeply what he cannot keep, and it is a selfless, gentle sort of passion that will haunt him, an echo of an empty house he does not have the promise of ever getting back to. One he will always crave the comforts of all the same. He looks at Sirius and wishes to cook a meal and fold laundry with him, lock the door behind them as they lay down to go to sleep, ignore the storm that rattles the bones of the house, because eventually they will break. Just not yet. Please, not yet. Oh, please don't cry," Sirius breathes out, moving forward instantly to reach out and cradle Remus's face, tilting it up as he stands in between Remus's legs, where he's settled on the end of the bed. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. No, I did, but I can't take it." "Sorry," Remus rasps. I was trying not to, Shh, no, of course you can," Sirius mumbles, his thumb swiping away the tears with a tenderness that sends a fresh wave right down Remus's cheek. "I mean, it's completely breaking my heart, admittedly, but you have every right to. You have the freedom to do that, and I'll wipe every tear away. Can I cheer you up? Can I try that? Would that be okay?" Remus huffs out a weak laugh, lips tugging up at the corners. Sirius is visibly frazzled, borderline desperate, and it's oddly cute. He's coming to the rapid conclusion that Sirius gets frantic when people he cares about are hurting. It's a trait that he shares with his brother. Remus can't really put his finger on why, but there's something both adorable and tragic about that. Just that they're so acquainted with pain themselves that they're a mess the moment they realize someone that matters to them is the one dealing with it. "Give it a go," Remus says softly. Sirius promptly and without warning pushes Remus back a bit and proceeds to crawl right into his lap, settling down on the platform of his thighs as he strokes Remus's cheeks and brings their faces so close together that their noses nearly bump. Remus automatically and instinctively wraps his arms around Sirius's waist to make sure he doesn't fall. To be completely honest, Remus feels cheered already. "Don't cry," Sirius coos, lips curling up as he leans in and kisses under one eye. "Your tears control the tides, you know?" He kisses under the other eye. "Why don't we have a calm ocean tonight? No shipwrecks. Nothing worse than a sunken ship." "But that's where all the treasures are," Remus teases, smiling along helplessly, and Sirius looks pleased instantly. "You're a treasure, Remus Lupin," Sirius murmurs, pressing a kiss to the corner of his mouth. "My treasure, the treasure I found in this sunken ship of a city. You glinted in the dark like the moon lights the sky, and I found you." "So I'm yours then," Remus whispers, eyes fluttering shut as Sirius brushes their mouths together. Really, he shouldn't be so enticed by the idea of belonging to anything or anyone, considering his position, but the mere idea of belonging to Sirius shoots a thrill through him. Mine, Sirius agrees. All mine. There's something heady about Sirius's tone, the undercurrent of possessiveness in it, something resolute and set in stone, indisputable, and Remus believes it. Something within him surges up in wild agreement, and it's true. The Hallow can't have him. Sirius has him. Remus is his. Remus has nothing, has had nothing for 5 years, no possessions and nothing to claim, so he can't be blamed for losing his breath when Sirius leans in and whispers in his ear. And I'm yours. I'm all yours, Remus. Only and always. The Hallow can't have Sirius either. Not when Remus does. It's good to belong like this, when it's safe and wanted. When it's a choice. When it's a discovery they're happy to have made. Sirius rocks back and kisses him, slow and soft, and Remus thinks he would let Sirius own him. He thinks, in the best possible way, Sirius already does. It doesn't scare him, not one bit. He's never felt so free. The feeling emboldens him, and he slips his hands around to slide them up Sirius's chest, pushing his shirt up slowly. Sirius helps him, carelessly flailing to send it flying, and neither of them even notice it on the floor. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. All that matters is this. Them. Sirius making a quiet sound in their unbroken kiss as he snatches a little frantically at Remus's shirt, trying to yank it off. I'm not picking that up, Remus declares, a little breathlessly, as he backs off enough to let Sirius peel him out of his shirt and launch it clear across the room. It's fine, Sirius groans, biting his lip as he slides his hands down Remus's chest. If you wanted, I would pick it up and bring it to you with my teeth. Remus tries not to let that go to his head, but it promptly goes right to his head. He blows out a deep breath, willing himself to remain calm. It's not working, but he feels he deserves an award for at least trying. Sirius, you shouldn't say things like that. It does have an effect, you know? Oh, in that case, I'll just continue, Sirius says, his words tumbling out of him in a rush. Because the goal is to have sex. Very good sex, hopefully. Just, naked. Us being naked. At the same time. For sex. Serious? Remus replies, working very hard not to laugh, because Sirius is so red that it looks painful. That was a very bad way to suggest sex. I'm so sorry, Sirius announces, looking mortified. I didn't want to say it like that, but I don't even know how to say it. I mean, I just said it, but I meant to say it in a way that at least sounded good. But what I mean is we should, well, if you wanted to, you could absolutely realign my spine. Remus's eyebrows fly up, and Sirius immediately chokes out a horrified noise before ducking his head and burying his face into his hands. Rather against his will, Remus bursts out laughing, and needs a second to calm down while Sirius shakes his head from side to side and releases a muffled curse into his palm over and over. Remus reaches out and peels Sirius's hands away, grinning at the deep blush on his face. Oh, I can I? Remus teases. This is all James's fault, Sirius whispers mournfully. Remus snorts. What does James have to do with this? I went to him for sex advice, and he said you were going to realign my spine, probably as a joke, I think, and then he said you might want me to realign yours, and I would try if that's what you want, but to be honest, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, Sirius tells him, visibly frazzled. You look so pitiful right now, Remus admits, and Sirius sighs and just nods glumly, which only adds to the whole pitiful look of him. Remus wants to bite him. Fortunately for you, I do know what the fuck I'm doing, and I know precisely how to cheer you up. Sirius clears his throat. Yeah? How's that? Well, I doubt I'll realign your spine, but I can promise to make you feel good, at the very least, Remus muses. And you? Sirius asks, sounding oddly anxious. Remus chuckles and reaches out to wrap both arms around him. Oh, don't worry about that. Everything's good when it's with you, Sirius. Well, that's reassuring. Sirius breathes out, and it really seems to be, because he relaxes all at once. In just enough time to release a yelp as Remus stands to his feet and hauls Sirius up with him at the same time. Sirius stares at him in disbelief, even as his legs naturally wrap around him so he won't fall. Don't look at me like that, I've got you, Remus mutters, rolling his eyes as he turns to walk around the bed. You're so strong, it's maddeningly attractive, Sirius blurts out, hands gripping Remus's shoulders tight. Wait, disregard that. I didn't agree to be carried around, Remus. That's not a part of the sex plans. You need better plans. This only adds to the ambience, Remus tells him, pausing next to the bed. Besides, you're mine, yes? That means I can do what I like with you. Sirius sucks in a sharp breath, looking dazed by the casual comment, his mouth forming a perfect circle as he gapes at Remus, stunned into silence. Remus's lips twitch, and then he dumps Sirius right onto the bed with no warning whatsoever. Yes, Sirius chokes out, belatedly, still looking dazed. He's sort of limp on the bed, staying exactly where Remus dropped him. Yes, absolutely. Anything, whatever you like. Remus hums. Noted. Quick question, do you have anything for the being naked at the same time and realigning one's spine sort of sex, I mean? Sirius groans again and flings his arm over his face, but he dutifully points toward the nightstand by his bed. Pandora got it for me, just in case. Kind of her, Remus says mildly, stifling a laugh as Sirius apparently tries to smother himself with his own arm out of pure embarrassment. He digs around in the drawer to find what he needs, sending a mental thank you to Pandora, then gazes fondly at Sirius. You shouldn't be embarrassed, you know? There's nothing embarrassing about pleasure. Fuck you, it's so embarrassing, Sirius counters. Remus chuckles and bends over to crawl up the length of Sirius's body, waiting for him to lift his arm before dipping in to kiss him. Sirius eventually settles into it, distracted fairly quickly, forgetting all of his embarrassment right around the time Remus licks into his mouth and draws a moan out of him. Still embarrassed? Remus asks, dragging his mouth away to kiss along Sirius's jaw. Sirius is panting beneath him, loudly. Oh, fuck, not even a little bit, Sirius says, his voice cracking, and he tips his head back as he wraps his arms around Remus's shoulders, hands sliding into his hair. I know this was your plan, but if you want to stop, don't you dare fucking stop, Remus. Sweetheart, we haven't even gotten started, Remus tells him as he pulls back to gaze down at him, amused. Sirius blows out a deep breath. Shit, we're not even out of our pants yet. There's no rush, Remus murmurs, leaning in to kiss him yet again, addicted to it. When he pulls back, Sirius chases his mouth, his eyes glazed. Just let yourself feel good, Sirius. I don't really have any other option when you're around, Sirius croaks, his eyes fluttering shut as Remus dips in to start kissing down his chest. You make everything feel so fucking good all the time. Like so good that it can only be a crime. That's how good it is. Remus laughs softly against Sirius's stomach, pressing a kiss to the faded scar there. A scar in his galaxy. He tips his head up to look at Sirius, who's looking down at him with his bottom lip caught between his teeth. Sirius, I should remind you, this is quite literally a crime. Worth it, Sirius blurts out, wide-eyed. My thoughts exactly, Remus agrees, and it is. It is so fucking worth it. Every moment with Sirius, every single one, is worth the risk, the danger, the possibility of future death or torture or worse. If that's what's waiting for him, he wouldn't regret one moment of any of this that led him there. This, too, is worth it, making Sirius feel good, coaxing him away from his own shame, letting him accept pleasure like he deserves. Every loud moan, every hitched breath, every time Sirius's mouth shapes around Remus's name, it's all worth it. It's easy, really, like most things are with them. Remus doesn't rush it, as if they have all the time in the world. He doesn't let this exist like an exchange for what tomorrow will bring. It's only now, it's only them. It's something and everything, and most certainly not nothing. Sirius is a mess throughout, a lovely, stuttering mess that Remus is fortunate enough to hold in his arms, to have claim to keep in every way except for one. That doesn't matter here, not when Sirius squirms against him and yanks on his hair and gasps into his mouth, chanting his name like a fucking prayer, and begging, so far gone that he's shameless, and Remus can't deny him anything. He doesn't even want to. Remus has been with people before, of course, but nothing could have prepared him for the intimacy of it. He's never been in love before, and he knows that now because it's different. It's immediately different with Sirius. The whole world seems to shape around him until nothing else exists but his fevered eyes and slack mouth and where their bodies meet. It's dizzying, feeling so much all at once, feeling good and feeling love and feeling complete, utterly free. Remus, you have to move, Sirius whispers, the words placed in a perfect sequence for it to be an order, but sounding only like a plea. But I want to stay here, in this forever that we've made, Remus thinks, a little delirious and dazed, desperate to exist in this moment that feels caught in amber, everlasting. Nonetheless, Remus does have to move at some point, and then he can't believe he ever waited. He can only fold forward and press his face into the bed of Sirius's throat, groaning as he slides his hands up Sirius's arms to tangle their fingers together and press them to the bed above their heads. Sirius clings to Remus's hands for dear life. Sirius is loud, very loud. It maybe drives Remus a little insane, but that's all right, he's sure. People can probably hear, and Remus does not give 1 ounce of a fuck. Let them hear, he thinks. Let the whole fucking Hallow hear. He hopes they do. He hopes the entire city hears Sirius and knows that he's not theirs, and knows that they can't have him, and knows that no one, ever, will be able to do to him what Remus does. The only issue that comes about is that Sirius wholeheartedly protests any bit of space between them, which is only a problem because Remus would very much like to get him off first, and that requires leaning back to use his hand. Sirius is not having it. He practically throws a fit the moment Remus tries to let his hands go and lean up. Don't you dare. Don't stop. Please don't stop, Sirius chokes out, arching beneath him to try and press them closer, though they're already flushed together as it is. I wasn't going to, Remus gasps out, squeezing his eyes shut as he tries to keep himself together. It's very difficult to do when Sirius, despite all his earlier reservations, is meeting his every thrust like a man possessed. I'd really like to see you first, Sirius, and as close as you may be, getting off on cock alone without even being touched doesn't always happen. It doesn't? Sirius wheezes. Are you sure? Because I'm really quite sure it's about to. Well, you can't until I tell you to anyway, Remus informs him. And then Sirius lets loose a string of vibrant curses before his jaw unhinges, and if Remus thought he was out before... Oh, fucking shit, I'm sorry. Sirius blurts on a whisper, his eyes fluttering open as he stares up at Remus, face flushed and chest heaving. He's pliant and relaxed beneath Remus, boneless, and even his words are slurring. Remus shakes his head, huffing out a startled laugh, slowing his hips to a leisurely, easy roll that's not too much. Sirius shudders, his lips parting as his eyes fall shut again. Why are you apologizing, Sirius? Literally, for what? You said I couldn't, and then I did, Sirius mumbles. Remus has to kiss him for that, truly. Sirius hums happily and squeezes his hands, kicking up his hips in encouragement, and Remus doesn't come up for air until he's gasping for it. Too busy falling apart as everything good and perfect in the world hooks around the base of his spine and lurches forward until his ears are ringing and the only name being chanted now is Sirius's, steadily spilling from Remus's mouth in reverence. It takes him a bit to recover, admittedly. Love tends to have that effect, especially when you're making it. So? James asks as Sirius crawls into bed with him. Yeah, Sirius breathes out. Spine? Realigned. Absolutely, unequivocally realigned. James bursts out laughing, and Sirius grins even through his blush, folding forward to press his face into James's shoulder, feeling like he's floating, feeling so good that he barely even knows what to do with it, feeling love sweep through him, as he thinks, rather helplessly and with immeasurable joy, that Remus came into his life and realigned that, too.